Hey Wargamers, today we're going to talk about a new unit in the new Codex for Tyranids, the Neurothrope. Before we do that though, I want to say thanks for watching. If you like this video, go ahead, hit the subscribe button. That way you don't miss any of my upcoming unit reviews for 8th edition. Alright, so the Neurothrope used to be a Sergeant-like model for Zoanthropes. Now it's been moved into its own HQ slot. It's a character. It's completely on its own. But that has some pretty significant implications for how the model plays and also for how you construct your army. So let's get into it starting from the beginning. A Neurothrope is 70 points. It has a 5-inch movement, 4-up weapon skill, 3-up ballistic skill, strength 4, toughness 4, 5 wounds, 1 attack, 9 leadership, and a 5-up save. But it does have a 3-up invulnerable save, so you're not going to be using that 5-up very often. It has the Warp Siphon special ability, which allows you to reroll 1s for psychic tests for any Zoanthropes within 6 inches of the Neurothrope. The Neurothrope itself has a Zoanthrope keyword, so this applies to the Neurothrope as well, but it also boosts friendly Zoanthrope units that you have nearby, which is helpful. It kind of maintains some of that Sergeant-y feel to the Neurothrope for Zoanthropes, as well as kind of building on the theme that the current Codex has of having these leader bugs that buff similar typed smaller bugs. So like the Prime, the Broodlord, the Tervigon, they all have benefits for their little counterparts. The Neurothrope has benefits to its little counterparts as well, including the Spirit Leech ability. And this used to be something that was associated with the old Duma Malantai character. The Duma Malantai used to be able to put out tremendous amount of damage and then heal itself back up. The Neurothrope is able to do that to a more reasonable extent. So the Spirit Leech ability says anytime you slay a model using the Smite psychic power, you can restore a wound to a Zoanthrope model within 6 inches. So again, because the Neurothrope is a Zoanthrope, you're able to apply that wound to the Neurothrope or to friendly Zoanthropes nearby. And this is a really nice component of the Neurothrope build, but the thing that really makes it attractive is that it can take 2 psychic powers and cast 2 psychic powers. So it takes Smite and then 1 psychic from the Hive Mind Discipline. So you can cast Smite every turn, and then you can cast another Hive Mind Tyranid psychic power like Onslaught or Catalyst, and that means that you're being a really offensively geared unit, but you also are there for support and utility. Not to mention this has Synapse and Shadow of the Warp, so really bringing a lot of tools to the table in a very efficient package. And I think that's the main point in the Neurothrope, is that the Neurothrope for 70 points can cast 2 psychic powers a turn, and that's really what you're using it for, and is a character, meaning that it's not going to be targeted very easily, especially with all the little bugs you're going to have running around. So Neurothrope's relatively durable because they're not going to be able to be targeted and are putting out a fair amount of damage via Smite and other psychic powers. Zoanthropes, in comparison, to get the same number of psychic abilities, you have to have 4 Zoanthropes or more in a unit, which of course can degrade as you lose Zoanthropes. But the Zoanthropes themselves are 40 points each. So in order to get 4 Zoanthropes in a unit, you have to spend 160 points. So that's double the cost of a Neurothrope. And unless you're using the stratagem that requires you to have units of 3 or more Zoanthropes, there's really not a reason for you to invest those extra points in the Zoanthropes when you could just as easily take the Neurothrope for less than half the cost and have the same output, plus have the benefits of being a character and the Spirit Leech ability. So it doesn't make sense that you would ever take Zoanthropes when you could take a Neurothrope if you have the slots available. So because of that, I think the Neurothrope is a default HQ choice. It's the cheapest HQ choice you can take, and it has a lot of utility like we've been discussing. So most armies, I think, are going to consist of at least one Neurothrope. It's going to be your default HQ, and then you're going to like basically switch out for things like a Broodlord or a Hive Tyrant as you have points or as you need to. But your basic HQ slots will be filled with Neurothropes unless you can take better things. Like a Hive Tyrant is better than a Neurothrope, but it's also a lot more expensive. So the Neurothrope brings this, cheap HQ access, a cheap smite, a cheap psychic scream, all sorts of great utility with the psychic power. So Neurothropes are really attractive, especially with the changes to Malanthropes with chapter approved. Malanthropes used to be a really good option instead of Neurothropes, but because they cost so much more now, Neurothropes again are really a strong choice. So I would recommend taking them basically. They don't have any options or anything like that, but they can of course be dedicated to a specific hive fleet. The hive fleet that sticks out to me the most as benefiting them is Kronos, just because Kronos is a little bit more psychic themed and you have access to abilities like that, but you really don't. Neurothropes are going to be good in any army. They don't benefit exceptionally well from anything in particular, from any of the hive fleets, but yeah, they're just not. They're not going to be that not that context dependent to really need the hive fleets. They're characters, so increased durability isn't going to make a big deal. They don't have a shooting attack. They are not going to be in close combat, so all the hive fleets really don't have a strong influence on how you play a Neurothrope, but Neurothropes themselves bring a lot of utility and can work with all of those hive fleets pretty darn well. So that's it. I think Neurothropes are a strong choice. You'll see at least one in every army, maybe more depending on how smite heavy that army wants to be, but overall, a really strong unit. Being able to regenerate wounds with Spirit Leech is really nice, even though you're probably not going to need it that often. So, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and of course, happy wargaming.